Welcome to the Cross the Line Podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by KB's Car Care on 321 North Main Street in Jonesville, South Carolina. They offer a hand car wash, vacuum, and clean interior. Coming soon, you will also be able to do a full detail. While you wait on your vehicle, customer seating is available as well as a dining area. They're open Tuesday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m., so make sure you stop by. Also, today's episode is sponsored by Big Ben's Desserts on 297 Spartanburg Highway in Lima, South Carolina. Today, back again with one of my very special guests. He's been back for the Hip Hop Roundtable, which we've been doing yearly, but this is actually the first time. And I was just thinking maybe like a little bit over 2.5 years when I first started out that we finally did another one-on-one interview. Today, my special guest, Coach Peake. What's going on?
What's going on, my brother?
It's good to see you again, man. I was like, dang, it's been a long time. You were actually one of my first few interviews starting out. Definitely one of my first 5 to 10 interviews starting out, man. I was like, dang, it's been a long time. And then like I said, we did the hip hop roundtable, but as far as like a one-on-one interview, this is the first time that we sat down one-on-one and just chopped it up and had a conversation about hip hop. And these are some of my favorite interviews, getting a chance to, talk about hip hop.
Right.
And a lot of stuff that's been going on. But since then, like I said, been over 2.5 years. So how many projects have you put out since then? Just like off the top of your head, because I know you put in a lot of work and you always drop a lot of music. How many projects you say have you put out since then?
Well, technically, I put out probably about 5 or 6 projects, but I only got like 2 or 3 projects that's actually out right now.
Yeah. I was looking at that earlier too when I was checking it. I was like, when I was on iTunes, I was like, I didn't see sections or whatever. I was wondering what happened like with the music and everything. I was like, man, you put out a lot more music than just like the 2 projects that were actually on there.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. Sometimes I get to listening to like some of my previous projects, and if I might feel different than how I felt when I first did the project, and I end up taking them down.
Oh, so you just do it by choice?
Yeah, man. Sometimes, man, I just go listen. I just go listen to some of my old stuff. I just be like, nah, I don't know why I put that out.
Cause I was looking for this song. I think it might not be the name of it. The grocery bag song that was on
Supermarket.
Yeah, Supermarket. I like that record, man. I was actually looking for it earlier, but I couldn't find it on iTunes. And I was like, man, what Peake did with all his music? I didn't know if it was something that happened when you signed the deal or whatever, which we're gonna talk about in a second. Or like what happened, but you just told me you took it away by choice. But how have things been for you career-wise since the last time we had our one-on-one conversation?
I just shot a couple more videos. I actually dib and dab into the acting side of things. I also been working with different artists around the city, and I've been working with my little brother DTM, and we've been really doing like some producing and stuff for artists around the city.
How did you get into acting? Because I saw that on Instagram. Like, I saw it, like, shared it on your Instagram story when you were doing some acting. You went down to Atlanta for the acting?
Yeah, I went down to Atlanta. I had made a little acting profile, and this woman by the name of Joy Evans, she reached out to me. She was like, she was shooting a movie, and she needed an actor. She was almost done casting. She needed one more person casted, and she reached out to me. I was like, yeah, I was with it. She sent me some money on Cash App, told me to be in Atlanta the next day, and I drove down there. The rest was history.
It looked like you had on like a suit or something in the...
Oh, that was the second. That was the actually second film. That was the second film. I wanted to say the name of that film was The Christians. They had me playing the groomsman on that one. I ain't really had no speaking roles.
So you got any idea like as far as like a release date or anything as far as the acting, or
they ain't never tell me. But I guarantee it's gonna be sometime next year though.
And you had a speaking role in one of the other ones you said?
Yeah, the first one I did, it was a movie called Truthful Consequences, and they had me in a speaking role. I got a lot of screen time with that and stuff. Like, I really talking, and you'll see when it come out. It's supposed to be on Amazon Prime next year.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, but the second one, I was just like, really just like some background stuff.
You think that's gonna be something that you do more of, like as far as acting, on the acting side of it?
Yeah, definitely. I ain't gonna lie, man. It's more opportunities with acting than rapping. I love rapping, I love music, but like with acting, there's more opportunities.
You see a lot of music artists start moving towards that way too.
Right.
Especially like, I look at like Ludo, Tyrese, as far as them, like, especially like Manny for Ludo, he's like now he's like even a bigger movie star than he is.
Right.
Even though he got a solid catalog of music, he's like, as far as like acting, it's like definitely like turning into like a superstar on this side of things.
See, a lot of people don't know, but you know, my favorite rapper, Tupac came in acting. You know, he went to academy and everything. You know, I know he thug life, whatever, but you know, he started out with
acting. Superstar too.
Yeah, and that acting and rapping together just put him on a different, you know, platform.
Yeah. Talk to me about a little bit about the record deal. I remember you posted that maybe a few months back, and you said you signed the deal. I can't remember the name of the label you signed with. Talk a little bit about that deal and how it came about.
I signed with this music company out of LA. They go by Crucial Music. I signed a publishing deal with them. And with the deal, I can still be an independent artist. I can still do what I do, but the music I put out with them, they publish it for me. They try to get it into films, you know, TV shows, video games, or whatever. This is a non-exclusive deal. So like, I literally can put out my own music, but the music I put out with them is, you know, with them.
So like the project that you put out, Value, that doesn't have any type of like affiliation with them.
That's all me. You know, it's me and Upfront recordings and stuff.
So when does that, like, okay, say you make a project, how do you know when it's something for them and like if it's something for you?
I literally gotta just send songs to them. Like right now, I got 3 songs I'm working with them, but one song they got, you know, circulating, they trying to get it different placements and stuff, but the other 2 records, like, we got a lot of contractual issues. Like, if somebody else involved with the record, everybody got to sign a piece of paperwork.
Right.
Yeah, it just it can get a little complicated, but for the most part, they really just handle like publishing. And like the records I put through them, I can't necessarily put out on my own.
Mm-hmm. So what made you want to sign like a deal like for you? Because you know a lot of times you like a lot of artists, you know, they get jerked in certain situations. But for you, what made you want to say, okay, I feel like I'm at a point now where I want to actually sign a deal with somebody?
I had been reaching out to different record labels and companies. A lot of record labels were telling me no. You know, I had reached out to 300. They took a look into me, but they never signed me. Well, I talked to them, man, and me and them, man, going back and forth. They was telling me, you know, they got a publishing deal, you know, if I was interested. And it was like, you know, we split everything down the middle. So whenever the checks come in, we really split them down the middle, and I ain't have to sign exclusively. So I can sign with them, do music, and, you know, go through them with the publishing, and I can still put out my own music.
So that's would you say that's like the main benefit is like them? I guess in a sense it's kind of like, I want to say something kind of like something similar to what Nipsey did. It's like a deal where like they like push his music or whatever, like distribution or something like that.
It's sort of like distribution stuff, but they don't actually like distribute it. They just, you know, they try to get it placed and stuff.
Yeah, so
like I can still distribute music on my own, you know, but not necessarily the records that they get published.
But anything that you put out on your end, like we just saying with Value or the other project that you had on, they don't get any of that at all.
Nah, they don't get none of that.
As far as that. Okay. Starting out with Upfront, I think you had a different name for the label.
I still got the Coach Peake production, the publishing, but I do the Coach Peake production publishing. That's for like if somebody want to get like a single produced by me and they want me to put it out, I do it under that. But if an artist come to me and they want me to like kind of like take them under my wing, do the full, you know, shebang, or like put them a project out or whatever, I put them on the Upfront recordings.
Right. And I feel like the name pretty much self-explanatory Upfront, but why did you do the name Upfront?
Man, I need that paper up front, you know what I mean? Literally, like, I just want everything up front before we do business.
Do you worry, one of the things I was wondering, like, listen to your project, do you worry about some of the things that you talk about in your music, like, it may paint a different picture? You like, if people listen to, you know, a lot of stuff is not for children, but, like, some of the stuff that you talk about, which I like it, it's dope, but it's like sometimes, you know, the wrong ears listen to it. You know, a lot of times it happens to celebrities as well when they, like if they get in a situation where they gotta go to court, you know, like they'll try to pull like certain clips from songs and try to use that against them. But do you worry about like the music that you put out sometimes like having a negative impact on you?
Yeah, that's why we were talking about earlier. Like sometimes I take my music off and stuff.
Right.
Like I get to listening to some of my records, I'm like, man, you know, it's a little too much, man. take it down and stuff. I do worry about this sometimes. I'm like, I don't get me wrong. I try to keep it raw in my music. You know what I mean? Because coming up in Union County, y'all know how Union County is. You know what I mean? But I try to keep it raw, but at the same time, I don't want to just be talking crazy on the track either. So yeah, I do think about some of the stuff I say.
Yeah, I mean it's still like a balance. You say you still want to express yourself and talk about things that you actually go through, but like I said, sometimes, and I know you're good people, but sometimes people will, like I said, try to use it against you. Like now he talk about this, I don't want to hear that, and different things like that. So that's why I wanted to ask that question. One of the other songs on your project you had, Value, 10 Years, one of my favorite records on there. You said, I put my heart into the game. Do you feel like locally, I know I asked you about it last time, about like the support, but how do you feel? Do you feel like, because of that record 10 years, do you feel like you get like the respect you deserve as an artist, and how do you feel like locally, and then like more like in other places as well?
I feel like I get the respect I deserve, like from people who actually into my music. Don't get me wrong, everybody's not gonna be into your music, no matter who you is. But as far as like, the people who have been following me for the past 10 plus years, like they respect the grind, they respect the hustle. They see what I got going on. I can't say though I ain't where I want to be, even though I've been rapping 10 years. But I do appreciate the long way I have came and the fans I got now.
It's a journey though, man. I don't think nobody like our age is like where they want to be.
Right.
Because it's like I said, I think I posted earlier, I was like, man, when I first started, we just had I remember when you reached out to me, the only thing I had was a laptop and I had my notebook.
Right.
I just took that with me everywhere I went. I was like, man, it's like a journey. And then, going to Jacksonville, that made me reflect. I'm like, man, still not where I want to be, but like when we first started to where we at now, man, like I had so many more interviews under my belt. You had so much more music, like a catalog of music. Which I wish you still would have had it out there, man, because people need to hear that, man. And like I said, that's part of your journey, and then like they'll be able to hear the growth of like with the things you talking about then to where you are now. Like it's just all about that process. What do you feel like? How do you feel like the biggest process, like how have you grown since that last interview, like as a person?
I'm really more focused on what I'm talking about. I used to just be big on just making hot music, just making, just some bouncy music, trying to make it sound good. Now I'm really trying to talk on tracks and like really, give people something to listen to. Like, it's still rawish, urban music, but, I don't want to just be on the track just saying whatever, If I'm going to say something, I want you to get something out of it.
Right. Is it still like a goal for you? I know I asked Troop the same thing, but as far as like when you make a record, are you trying to make something for radio? Because for me, I always say, honestly, and it's not radio, but I just feel like it's so many different avenues. Like radio is like the dinosaur age when things are a thing of the past. Like for me, I really don't remember the last time I really listened to radio, because now I'm pretty much, when I get in my car, I'm automatically like listening to something just on my phone, the stuff that I want to hear, instead of just like turning on the radio and just waiting to hear them play one of the records that I actually like. But do you try to make records like for radio, or is that like a thing of the past now to you?
For me, it's really a thing of the past, because I have been to the studio trying to make a record for the radio, and them be the records that don't necessarily do good because you trying to force a radio hit. Right. So now I'm just trying to make good music, and if I feel like I got a hot enough song, go ahead and throw a clean version for it, and then we might try to push it through the radio. But like you say, radio dinosaur age, because it's all about streaming. It's all about playlisting and like TikTok and stuff. Like,
how often do you listen to radio, if at all?
To be real, like if I'm in the car and like I just ain't, my phone might be dead or something, I might throw the radio on. Power 98 might come on, whatever.
Is there anything in particular like you try to check for, like see what's still hot, like what, like in the mainstream or anything that you try to check for?
Not really. I'm just past the time listening to music. To be real, a lot of the hot songs, they hit the internet first. They hit streaming platforms and TikTok. They hit internet first. Radio literally is like last right now when it comes to new music.
There's so many different outlets that you can use to to put your music out. Like I remember when I talked to Shannon McCollum, Lil Yachty's dad, he was like, it wasn't even radio. He he put out a song on SoundCloud, yeah, and it just took off. And he had like a kid that was a manager that was trying to help him, not the same. And at the same time, I remember he said it was Coach K that was looking for him.
Right.
And Lil Yachty's dad, he knew Coach K, so he inboxed him and they put two and two together and they connected. But it was just a song, I forgot what the name of that record was, but it was on SoundCloud, and that's what really,
right.
took him to a whole nother level, which is when he was on SoundCloud. But next, when was the last time? I know COVID has changed everything. But let's talk about that first anyway. As far as like COVID, people, it's hit everybody, even like the mainstream artists,
right.
all the way down to like local artists. How do you think this COVID is going to impact everything going forward? Because I know now you can't even really perform, but how has it impacted music?
If you ain't really selling records, or if you in a crazy record deal or whatever, it's gonna hinder you because you ain't gonna be able to do a lot of shows. A lot of these bigger artists make a lot of their money off of show money because the record label keeping all the royalties and stuff. So the show money is really what they depending on. But if you independent and you got a solid fan base and you selling records on your own, it's really kind of benefiting you, because you ain't really got to go out and do too many shows, because with the internet, as long as you go up on the internet, you can sell records, especially with streams, like I say, man, if you independent and you own all your music, you getting everything up front, you good.
One of the things I've been seeing is, I was like, I don't know, I guess it's a lot of artists been doing is like, what they've been doing this year is like, they'll put out their album, and then maybe like a few months later, or whenever, then they'll go back and do like the deluxe of the album. It's like, so they'll still have a regular album, but then they might add another like 5 or 10 songs. It's like, why not just make a whole new project instead of, just calling it like a deluxe or whatever, instead of, doing it that way.
I couldn't really tell you, man, because I that ain't really what I'm on,
right.
Doing deluxes or whatever. But it might be marketing tactics. Like, say Uzi got a hot album, and everybody like that album, and he want to keep it going. He might do that deluxe of that album, and I don't.
Or maybe there's something where I thought maybe if maybe like the labels, whoever they signed to, they won't let them put out a new album. So instead of having to put out a new album, I guess they gotta add to the one they just put out and just call it a deluxe, even though it's like a new project. Maybe I don't know. I guess maybe that's one of the things with like labels. Maybe they don't want you to drop new albums like
that's a good point
that quickly or something.
But also, if you take the same songs from your last album and put it on your new album plus new songs, the streams for that last album, they'll still count on the new album. So like say your last album went platinum and then you do the deluxe. Like technically, when you put all them songs on the deluxe plus the new song, it's already platinum.
It still count towards that album. Yeah,
so you got 2 platinum albums even though they probably the same.
I know Dirt, I like Dirt album that came out this year. I know Baby, he did Blame It on Baby, then he came back and did a deluxe. He added I want to say he added maybe like 10 more songs to it.
Right.
Then like the back half was like the old songs that came out the first time he dropped, but he still added new. And I know he put something else out yesterday, but it's like, I was like, man, I guess there's something, with COVID is impacting the music industry where these guys are like putting these like deluxe projects and stuff like that together.
Right.
But do you remember the last time you actually able to perform on stage?
Shoot, it probably had to be like the beginning of this year. If I'm not mistaken, it's been a minute because, like you say, man, coronavirus messed up a lot of stuff. It had to be some time at the beginning of this year.
Might have been in Charlotte. You remember I was CIAA.
CIAA.
Yeah, I was at that's when I was working with the Source.
Yeah,
I was doing the freelance work with the Source, and man, I was they had a lot of different artists come up there, man. And I remember I hit you up, I hit Troop up, I hit Peace. I was just telling y'all, man, y'all need to come up here, cause literally the Source, they were really just putting people on. Like all you had to do was just walk in there, like you an artist.
Right.
They'll give you like a quick interview, and a lot of the guys just I got some footage. I gotta find that footage. But
I'm about to say I reached out to them when you had sent me the link or whatever, but they had they told me they was already booked up. And stuff.
Literally, man, I'm telling you, like the people that was up there, it was like a lot of these guys. I don't think they signed up. Like it was some of them that they let perform.
Right.
That I guess they went through the process, but then like towards the end, it was basically like you want to get a look. Come on, get on. Like they were just putting people on, man. But it was dope though, man. I remember I met De Niro Ferrara. He's dope. He from Charlotte. JX Hines. I met him. It's some other guys, man. It's another guy from Royal City Lee from Charlotte. The guy was supposed to talk with him soon too. But man, it was just like that was a good experience, man, because it was just like people just getting on. I wish I would have came up there, man, because they were really like putting people on. But I remember you had to perform today, or you was with you say one of your artists or somebody you was with?
Me and Young Honey went up there. Young Honey had a performance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he performed at the club up there. I forgot the name of the club, but he had we had did a little interview for him, and then he performed like right after the interview.
Yeah. Is he somebody? I wish y'all relationship like artist.
He my artist, but he also like homeboy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We just cool. You know what I mean? And we do a lot of music together and stuff. And he's definitely up next. You know what I mean?
Talk to me about the other project you put out too. I was listening to that earlier. Hard Times and Good Vibes. One of my favorite records on there. Quarantine Thoughts. I like that record a lot. Was that Farrakhan that you had on there?
Yeah, Farrakhan talking in the middle of it.
Yeah. What made you put Farrakhan on that record?
Oh,
It felt like you just like when you listen to that record, man. Like this definitely had to be during COVID, like when it hit. But like the stuff that Farrakhan is saying, man, you know, when he speaks, a lot of people listen to it. It's powerful.
That's really one of the reasons I put him on there, because you know the message was powerful and the stuff I rap about, like I just felt like it all fit together. I had went holler at Bushead had cooked up like 3 beats for me, and that was one of the beats, man. I was like, man, I gotta do something on that. You know, I literally came home, you know, I went to my own little personal studio, I cooked it up, and like that little scratch right there, I was like, man, I'm gonna put Farrakhan talking right here. And it just kind of went.
So he already had Farrakhan in it?
Oh, nah, I had to put him on it myself.
Oh, okay.
And find a little clip, you know.
So Farrakhan somebody, not to get too deep into it, but that's somebody that you like listen to often, like Farrakhan, some of his speeches?
I ain't gonna say I listen to him often, but he has did a couple speeches that caught my attention. I was like, man, he talking that talk.
Those brothers, man, I'm telling you, man, like the brothers in the suits, man, like they different, man. Like when COVID hit, you know, one of the books I read and paid one of the guys, this is Malcolm X.
Right. You
know, he was one of those leaders of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Farrakhan was a student of him also, man. But some about those brothers in suits, man, that's what I love about them, man, because they do for self. You know, they all about building our community.
Right.
Also, so and it's kind of going into my next question as well. The record right after that was called Justice. And you had a line in there saying, justifying killing our people, saying they deserve it. How does that make you feel, you know, during everything, I think, especially that George Floyd incident, when people were like, racism was right on the front line of that incident. Like, how did that make you feel? Like, what inspired you to make that record? Was it the George Floyd incident? And then how does that make you feel to, like, see people like us being killed like this all the time in the news?
Well, of course, the George Floyd incident, but like just incidents like in history, period. Like, for example, you know Elvis, right? Elvis died. You know they saying Elvis this and that, legendary this and that. Mm-hmm. But you know Elvis had a lot of messed up things about him. You know what I mean? He had a lot of baggage and stuff. But when a black man is in the same position and he get a little praise, they always trying to throw the pass in. He did this, he did like when George Floyd died, right? Mm-hmm. All they could talk about was like his criminal record. Right. He did porn, this and that, like, you know, and none of that matters when somebody do somebody wrong. Like, you know, they were wrong for what they did to that man, and they trying to justify it by saying he was doing this and that. But that man sat on his neck and killed this man.
Exactly. It's like and that's the thing. Like that's why I read that line, because a lot of times it's like, well, on the news, they'll go back and it could be something 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
They'll try to find it, even if it's a speeding ticket. It's like when he was speeding back then, it's like almost like trying to find a reason to justify, but there's nothing he did in his past can justify like that situation.
Right.
But it's like, but that's what the news does. I hate when the media does that. And you look at our counterparts sometimes. If they commit a crime and they kill somebody, they was like, oh, he's such a nice guy. He came up in a loving family and different
things. He probably had all kind of messed up stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But then in a situation like this, it's just like, it's always, well, if he didn't have anything going on in his past, well, he should have complied with the officer. He should have listened. He should have did this and that.
Right.
And even if you do comply, a lot of times for us, it's like we still look at it as a threat, and you can still be killed for no reason, for sense and stuff like that. So definitely that impact. I mean, that's why I like that record, man, because a lot of the stuff that you were talking about on it, man. And what else did during the pandemic? What else was revealing to you during that time? Like we just had a break, and then like you said, of course the racism part. But what else?
Social media, man. Like social media dictates life right now. Like, and I find myself having to fall back from Facebook. Like, I still be on Instagram, you know, try to keep up with urban news, but like, you know, like we was talking about earlier, just social media, man. Sometimes social media paint a picture in our head that's not necessarily there. And I'm trying to articulate what I'm really trying to say, man. It's just, man, I feel like social media is like a gift and a curse. You know, it's a gift for us, like communicating with your loved ones who might not be around you, might be far off. But it's a curse because, man, a lot of people compare their life to social media. And you don't know the whole story on social media. You know, somebody might be looking like they win and this and that, but you don't know what's really going on behind the scenes.
Behind those curtains, man. It's like a fantasy world. One of the things that gets me, I was talking to one of my friends about it, was like, man, it's weird. Like, I'll see people do things like if somebody, like, they have like, it was somebody shared a picture of like matching Rolexes and they're like relationship goals. Like, why is there relationship goals or different things like that? Or you see these people like on a trip, it's like they living their best life, man. But just like deep down, man, a lot of times the people that post a lot of these things, like they put on the front, like they hurt. Not saying that it's everybody in this situation, but it's like a fantasy world, man. You can never compare yourself to what somebody else is doing, man, because you don't know what they're going through, what they've been through, or none of this stuff. So it's definitely a gift and a curse. But at the same time, you know, like as far as like pushing out your content, people reaching out to you, man, like you'll never know. Like some of the best things for me is people that I don't even know would like reach out to me and be like, man, I like what you're doing. Keep on going. Or like I might go somewhere and somebody I don't even know is watching. Like a lot of times they might not even like your stuff that you post. But like if they see you in person, they're like, man, I
seen that. I like that.
Exactly.
I'm with it. I get a lot of it.
So it's definitely like you said, it's a gift and a curse of social media. You just gotta realize how to use it for your benefit and don't use it for your downfall. Another record I want to talk about, Free Game. What advice would you have for artists that you work with and then artists in general?
Just keep doing you. Like, don't get caught up in the hype. Like, I know as an artist, you look up to bigger artists, you see them doing this and doing that, you automatically feel like you gotta do that. But you don't ever know why that artist is doing what they're doing. Keep doing you, keep running your routes. Eventually you'll get there if you stay consistent with it.
Who do you work with a lot of artists in our area, or is it mainly like just like the people that you kind of like close to?
I'm gonna shout out a couple guys. I work with artists like Young Honey, EJ Lowe, Trench Money Cito, my boy QP Sosa, Dope Bowl Magic, Fly Guy C. Gotta shout out Fly Guy C. There's a couple more artists I deal with. I try to stay local with, like, far as artists I work with. I work with a couple Spartanburg guys too, like Palmetto Parks, Muddy Spaz. You know, me and J Bills got a song. You know, but as far as like around the city, I'm definitely dealing with folks from around the city, man, because you know we all we got.
The guy on one of your records on Hard Times, A Good Vibe. I can't remember his name. It was on the track list. I had to find out. He was dope on one of the records also. I can't remember who it was.
And 163 was it?
6'3". I like 6'3". It was I think his name started with an S. I can't remember. I had to show you once we wrap up the interview.
Gotcha.
What else what else would you see like we talk about? Well, I'm gonna talk about. Let's go ahead and dive into this also, like the Verzuz battle. What else would you see? Like Verzuz has been a great avenue for artists, also because it's like he gives us a chance to go down memory lane, and like sometimes you can forget about records that an artist made. It's like a lot of times people like, man, why they doing a Verzuz battle? But a lot of times, man, you sleep on these artists like. You're like, hey, you know, back in the day, they really did have some hits. I remember like it was like the Nelly and Luda.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ones was Snoop and DMX, with both definitely legends in their own right. But it's like, man, a lot of times Snoop catalog was just crazy. And then DMX, it makes you forget like, dang, DMX really did have these records, man. What else would you see was like another avenue that you think would benefit artists? Because Verzuz, I think, definitely was something creative that helped since artists, you know, can't get out and perform.
Definitely, like you say, the Verzuz. Man, I this gonna sound crazy, but I think artists need to start doing like this for the artists that be beefing with each other. I wouldn't mind seeing artists do like a little boxing matches. Like if you got two artists that's beefing with each other, if they seem like they can't talk it out, box it out. Put it on camera.
It's gotta be music though, man. It's gotta be something like music wise, man. Like, they put out like as far as like a head to head. Maybe like I was thinking kind of similar to what Jeezy and Gucci did. Maybe put them like artists, you know, even if they don't get along. I mean, it's a lot of time, a lot of people won't do it, but maybe like have them set up to where they sit and fall apart. And I guess like playing their records, maybe they can try to find a way to bridge that gap or whatever their differences are. Some kind of way. I think, but definitely not boxing though.
You know, oh man. Alright, well I tell you what, we just need some more verses, man. I think T.I. and Lil Flip maybe should do a verses. You know,
that's one. That's definitely a lopsided versus.
Right. I mean, you know, let's Tip probably got more hits, way more hits.
Absolutely, definitely.
But you know, but still, you get the idea. Yeah. You know,
but I think it's definitely gonna be something like, I guess maybe there's something they can continue to do even like once everything opens back up. But
see, when everything opens back up, they should do verses that, you know, they let the crowd attend, like the fans really attend. You know,
right. I mean, I definitely like when it's the artists are. I know at the beginning, like they had artists like in different locations, like where were they staying at, like so somebody might be in California, somebody be on the East Coast. But now I like it better when the artists are like head to head, like they're in the same room. You might have to set up like you might have to do it a bit differently to where I just like having them in that same environment, especially like we're gonna talk about it now with like the Jeezy and Gucci. That was probably like one of the biggest Verzuz battles since they've been doing it. That's to me that's my favorite one besides the Snoop and DMX versus. Like, did you get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. I watched the whole thing.
You gotta tell me what you thought about that verse.
Oh man, it was dope. Like you said, you be forgetting about songs. Like, you know, I grew up listening to both of them, Jeezy and Gucci, man. But Jeezy had some hits, man. Yeah. Like, people forgot. Like, when Jeezy came out, man.
We was in a group chat. We was like, man, no disrespect to Gucci. I was like, man, I said my prediction was like, I said 13-7. I said Jeezy. Because I just like his catalog. And I was like, he literally could just play like half of TM 101. And basically he did a lot of that anyway, 101, and then he played a couple records off Trap or Die. But I was just like, man, for me the biggest difference was Jeezy could drop a record and I could tell you exactly what album or mixtape that it came off of. Gucci had like a lot of dope records too, but
he had a lot of mixtape records.
Like a lot of mixtape records, man. But it was definitely dope, man. But man, it was good to see them, you know, come together.
Even though Gucci tried to do the little shots in the middle of it, like, you know, Jeezy kept it, you know, copacetic, man. And, you know, at the end, they did the So Icy song.
Yeah. It was tense at the beginning because right at the beginning he said the Gucci Man versus Jeezy.
Yeah, he came out with
this track. He came out ready, like, from the jump. And then the part where he played the Truth record.
Yeah.
That's the part where I was like, man.
He thought you could smoke poop pack and
yeah. So I was like,
somebody else, another body. I was like,
yeah, he said
Jeezy ain't let that get him out of the element though. Jeezy was like, man, we ain't even here for that. You know, it's for the culture.
But he had a great he had a great setup to what he was talking about though. Right after that, what was the record he played?
I want to say I'm the realest.
Yeah. That was the record. So the way he set it up was just perfect. So I was like, man, it was a great comeback, man. But it was just like intense the whole time, man. Like for me, it was just Jeezy just had too much of a catalog, man.
Yeah,
like I got a lot of respect for Gucci. Gucci's super dope now. Don't get me wrong.
I already know.
But and then the thing was, for me, I was kind of torn too. I was like, man, I think the Recession might be a better album than TM 101, but I think 101.
I like the 101 better.
101.
Recession was hard too.
Recession was.
But that TM 101 though.
Yeah, I was like, man, people forget how tough that.
Right.
Man,
he was talking that too.
He really was, and it's like, man, that's the. He can't talk about that type of stuff nowadays, man, because that's the type of stuff, man. It'll be.
He ain't on that right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, he businessman.
And I just remember how crazy it was, like back then. Like we was in school, if you wore that snowman T-shirt,
right,
you going to the office,
you
going home, you might get suspended. That's how crazy the time was.
Man.
Then it came back the snowman mixtape. It was just like that was one of the craziest movements. Like I just remember like probably in hip hop, just growing up, man, just how big Jeezy was, man. And
Jeezy was huge.
Yeah, man, that was a crazy time. But like you said, I did like the fact that at the end, because it didn't seem like they was going.
Right, I thought they were about to bust out a fight, bro.
Yeah.
But, like you said, Jeezy, he said his piece, and at the end, which was like, it's all love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Appreciate the invite and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I had to give credit to Gucci for playing the Truth record too, man. Right. I was like, is he going?
Truth was tough though. He was talking it.
You know what I mean? Like, is he really gonna play this record or what?
He did it too. He wasn't playing. Like I get why Gucci felt how he felt.
You can't knock him for that.
I get the situation,
especially if that was really how the situation was.
Like,
you can
I
understand.
get it. But I'm also glad that after 15 years they get through it.
And then like the way he played it, I think placement is a big part of these versus battles too. Like when and where you play these records. Like I think it had more of a hit because he waited kind of like towards the middle of the battle instead of like playing it right at the beginning. I think if he'd have started out with that record, man, it's no telling like how the rest of the battle would have went. But, playing it in the middle. I mean, and then of course. That's how he felt at that time anyway. So time has passed. So, and then I was listening to something else earlier that I thought was dope too. Was like people back then they felt like they had to choose a side between you gonna be with Jeezy or you with Gucci. So it's like anybody that rock with Gucci, you can have no kind of deals with Jeezy and vice versa. Like if you rock with him, man, you can't do it because it's like you just being disloyal. But the guy was like, I don't remember the guy's name, but he was like, man, it just felt good to get it off our back because now we don't have to worry about having to pick sides. Now, okay, everybody's cool, like we can, work with the other side now. And it even felt like that with the DJs. It was like the DJs talking a little.
Yeah, you listen to that, throwing shots at each other.
Yeah, so the whole thing.
Holiday, you better dig in them crates, man.
Yeah, so it was like a lot of back and forth. So that's how you know, like, how big that beef was because it's like, man, you can't even talk to somebody else on the other side, but I think that was dope. Now that they made amends, that going forward, hopefully they'll do some more records together.
For real though.
So what else? We got a few more questions. We'll get ready to wrap it up. What else do you listen to like locally, like around here?
Like around here?
Yeah.
Just about anything. Long as they hot. Like ain't gonna lie, Purdy doing his thing. I'm definitely bumping Young Honey. 6 Huncho. My boy Rockstar said he got a couple.
Rockstar said that's who I was talking about.
Rockstar said, Rockstar said. I'm listening to Rockstar said. Gusto got some hot records.
Gusto got talent, man. Yeah. Like, I like Gusto, man. We was talking a little bit back and forth, man. trying to get him on, man.
Yeah,
When he dropped Gusto's Laboratory, man, I'm still trying to get him on, man. But shout out to Gusto too. He makes some dope records, man.
Man, it's a lot of talent in the city, man. I try to keep my ear to the city, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause especially now with the internet, man, you know, it's a lot of guys around here doing their thing. I'm trying to listen to a little bit of everything, man. Like, for real, especially if you dope. I'm checking you out.
Yeah.
Like, rather we cool or not, you know what I mean? Like, you got some hot music, I'm listening to it.
You think a lot of y'all, the artists around this area, should do more projects together? Cause look, and I'm not saying maybe y'all do. I don't know about it, but do you think the artists around here to come together more and put together some projects, and maybe that'll help build some, like even if they don't get along, maybe that'll help kind of bridge that gap or settle their differences also.
Definitely. Like even if it ain't a whole project, like just do songs together, man. Like I get people beefing and they don't get along, but if we go push the culture forward in the city, man, we gotta put all that pride to the side. Do music, like just do music, like this guy over here rapping, like reach out to him, y'all trying to do some music,
right.
You know what I mean? Chip in on a session, or if you got your own studio, just invite them over, man. Just do music, like you see how guys in Atlanta and Memphis and the other cities, like the bigger artists, they get together and do songs,
right.
And they might look good together on camera, but they probably don't even really chill for real. You know what I mean? But they look at the bigger picture.
Look at the bigger picture, and it's like, man, if you own, it makes the city look good.
Right.
And I remember something else I seen at CIAA, man, when I was working with the Swords, was like a lot of the artists in Charlotte, like when they were on stage, they would like shout out other artists that like help from Charlotte that like put them on and stuff. It was like they really had like a relationship where like they really had a lot of love for each other and stuff like that, man. So I was like, man, the way they show love there should be the same way here.
Sure, man.
And like I said, if somebody own, man, it makes the city look good. Don't mean you have to forget about where you came from. Always show love. Try to pull somebody else up with you, man. But I definitely would like to see y'all, a lot of the artists around this way. I know it's hard, with studio time, like everybody's work schedule and everything, trying to get together. But man, if y'all could put together like some kind of little project with everybody and put it out, I think that would definitely be dope for like the city, man. If y'all could figure out a way to do it.
Let me tell you another thing, man. It's the money. Like a lot of you guys don't necessarily. A lot of guys want to rap and they do rap, but they don't really believe in it, cause ain't nobody around here really made it to where they making a killing off of rap. Like we make a couple dollars off of rap, whatever. But I feel like for example, if one of our artists right now from the city, even though we got artists that's buzzing in the city, one of our artists really like blow out the water, talk about making millions, and then the next man making millions, and the next man making millions, you'll see more artists from the city collabing. But they be like, okay, it's real now.
Right.
We can really eat. But a lot of guys like, man, yeah, we rapping, but man, I make more money in the trap, or I make more money in my job. I ain't really too worried about such and such. But if more money start flowing around here from the music, you'll see more people collabing.
Why do you think people feel like they have to move away to like? I know, like, we're gonna just stick to like music. Why do you feel like people have to feel like, in a sense, they might have to move away just to get on?
Cause people put it in their head, like, somebody who's not doing music, they're quick to say, "Oh, you need to be in Atlanta, or you need to move to LA, man." But them cities and them markets are already oversaturated with people not only from the city but other places. Like with the internet and with everything at your fingertips, now you ain't gotta move out the city. You just gotta know how to hustle your music. Like you could literally blow up from Union if you, first of all, put the right funds behind it, connect with the right people, and put out the right music.
Right, exactly. I was like, a lot of times people for some reason, like, I gotta get out just to, make it. But I feel like, man, you can really like make it from anywhere. Like
you could, like Fujiano made it from Greensboro, Georgia. And that was a small city, you know what I mean? But, he did his thing, he went to a talent show, and then he blew up, but he still put his city on, you know what I mean? And you can do the same thing here, man. It just, you gotta have the smarts, you gotta have the confidence, you gotta stay consistent, you gotta have the discipline to do this, man. You really gotta be disciplined, cause it's easy to get off track, especially when you ain't making the money you wanna be making, or you making more money doing this and that. it's easy to get off track. Just stay focused.
Right. Of course, eventually you want to make money off of it, but for the love of it, man, you still got to be willing to, put in that work and grind, man. Right. I meant to ask you earlier, though, also, when you put out a project, what's that feeling like for you when you put out a project? I was like, because I was thinking to myself, I can only imagine how y'all feel, because even for me, like, we had to put out a lot of interviews, but like every time I put out an interview, like I'm excited, like I'm releasing like an album, like man, I got something else coming, like here it is. Like, what's that feeling like for you when you put out a project?
Like it's exciting and it's like it feel good. It's like I'm putting out something, especially when you got people like looking forward to it.
Right.
Like I got people hitting me up, I'm ready for the next project when you drop it. Then when I announce it, they're like, man, I'm ready to hear it. I'm ready to hear it. And when I finally release it, I got people telling me they're like, this song and that song, man, that feel good, man. Right. Especially when you love what you do. When you really love what you do and you put out the content behind it, man, it's a great feeling.
Because I was like, man, because at first I didn't know you put out a project. And then I seen it because I thought it maybe like one record. That's when I called you. I was like, man, you put out a new project? I was like, man, we gotta sit down and chop it up about the project and then like everything else that's been going on in between time, man. But I was like, man, every time I get excited every time, like I'm recording something and putting it out and letting people listen to it, man, because it's another chance for me to keep working on my craft, and then I'm also getting a chance to like even with this interview, like I don't know the ins and outs of music, so I get a chance to like pick your brain and see like, as far as like signing a deal and things that you had to go through as far as like making albums and records and stuff like that. So it's like a chance for me to still like learn something different.
Right.
And I give you, and I gotta give you a triple lot of credit too, man, because at first.
Shout out Troop.
Yeah, shout out Troop, man.
We got Troop.
Yeah, we gotta supposed to get Troop back on for an interview too. I know he's gonna drop another project, and then still gotta try to get him on for the round table too. We just gotta figure out the time and date and get everything situated. But I was like, man, I had to give y'all a lot of credit because at the time, man, at first I wasn't really comfortable with like going to music where I was like, man, I don't know if I really want to do music like that. Right. I was like, man, I think I might try to stay away from that lane. But then I had to tell myself, man, like y'all are artists or entrepreneurs at the same time. Right. You got to sell yourself. You got to sell your product and your content.
Invest.
Yeah.
Like I invested a lot of money and time into it and energy, like so you're right.
Mm-hmm. So I give y'all a lot of credit, man, because at first I don't know, but now. These are some of my favorite interviews to do, man, because I like to talk about hip hop, and then I get to learn from y'all, like stuff that y'all doing, like what y'all think about this record, and stuff like that. So it's a good chance. It's dope, man. I really enjoy doing like these hip hop, and I'm ready for the round table again, man. That's one of my favorite ones too, once we get everything situated. My final question: I've been asking everybody this when I've been on the road for the self-investment to it, so I'm gonna let you get a chance to answer this as well. What does self-investment mean to you?
Self-investment, man, just really betting the house on you. Just really believing in yourself. Like, you'd be surprised how many people don't believe in themselves. Like, a lot of people that's like always negative and stuff, it's not that they don't like people, they just don't like themselves. They not confident about themselves. They don't want to invest in themselves, and you gotta have self-love before you do anything, or you ain't gonna like nothing. If you don't like you ain't gonna like the next person or the next thing. So self-investment, man, you just really, investing in you, man, being confident in you, believing in you. How you expect somebody to believe in you and you don't believe in you?
Absolutely. Like we've been saying all along, self-investment is the best investment. A lot of times you don't get that opportunity. You gotta put yourself on grind. Outcome is not guaranteed, but if you believe in yourself, man, you just gotta keep pushing yourself.
Facts.
Before we wrap it up, I want to thank KB's Car Care again. Thank you to Big Ben's Desserts, Charlene's Home Cooking on 1136 East Blackstock Road, and also Faces by Cynthia on 27 East Main Street. Pete, before we get out of here, man, I appreciate you again.
Appreciate you, bro.
Good to chop it up with you again. Like I said, we're going to do the round table to close out the year. But before we get out of here, can you tell everybody how to find you on social media?
You can find me on Facebook. Just type in Coach Peake, P-A-K-E. You can find me on Instagram at Peake864. YouTube, just type in Coach Peake. Subscribe to the channel. And, if you ain't on none of them social sites, just Google Coach Peake. and everything else will pop up.
Absolutely. If you get a chance to watch this interview live, you'll also be able to watch it on YouTube. You can go back and listen to it on Sound, Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I think I said Pandora. I'm just trying to make sure I name them. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this interview. Until next time, keep chasing your dreams. This is Cross the Line Podcast. Thank you for listening.
What's going on? This is Coach Peake. I'm rocking with my dog Carlos Smith for the Cross the Line Podcast. Tune in.